Hello, I'm Telkiney, and you're watching the Nerd Navigator. Come join me as I explore video games, movies, comic books, and anything else I can find.
Hello, I'm Telkiney, your Nerd Navigator. Today I'll bring you the third installment of my series comparing World of Warcraft and Elder Scrolls Online. Today I'm going to be focusing on their combat systems. I'd ask that if you enjoy this content, please like the video and share it with your gaming friends, but also subscribe to my channel so you can be notified for future videos. To get us started, I'll start with comparing the targeting system of these two games, as most differences lie in this system and how you engage in combat for World of Warcraft and Elder Scrolls Online. For Elder Scrolls Online, for 99% of your game time, your mouse will act as a reticle in the middle of your screen, similar to a first-person shooter. This is the most common staple of an action, massively multiplayer online role-playing game. As you move the mouse, your perspective moves around with you. The screen moves as your mouse moves. Whatever object or NPC is in front of your reticle is what you're going to be targeting. In WoW, you have the classic targeting system generally called tab targeting. The tab comes from games like EverQuest and World of Warcraft and others that have an almost industry standard of using the tab key of your keyboard to cycle through available NPC targets. However, this is not the only way to target in this system. Your mouse is free to move around the screen and you can click on any object or NPC you wish to target. Once either tab targeted or selected on with the left click of the mouse, the target in this system is set until the target stops existing or another target is selected through the same methods. The tab target system allows for different modes of play, even if some consider it an older system for how long it's been used. Some players choose to have both hands on the keyboard in such a configuration, with one hand pressing numbers or the number pad to initiate attacks, with the other hand moving the character in the WASD movement controls. Other players like myself still use the mouse to both look around and select targets while pressing the numbered keys above the WASD keys. In contrast, since you must use the mouse reticle within ESO, there's really only one way to play. If you like this method, then it should feel natural. However, for those that like to use their mouse for selecting objects and NPCs on the screen, but not for looking around, may find this system foreign and it could take some getting used to. The next system to compare in these games is the way characters perform basic attacks. In World of Warcraft, this system is simple. When you attack your enemy, your character automatically initiates time-based attacks that are generally a low % of the character's total damage. Normally, this type of basic attack is called an auto attack in these type of games, as they occur automatically and can be toggled on and off. These attacks normally are going off at the same time other abilities the character is using. In Elder Scrolls Online, the basic attack system is a bit more complex. Basic attacks in ESO are completely manual with the left click of the mouse button. The left click can be quickly pressed or held down, resulting in more damage when released, depending on the duration the mouse button is pressed. These manual attacks, while also doing some of the lowest damage in the game, do serve to restore endurance or magicka to the character and are supplement damage for when the character is not initiating an ability that would have otherwise cost endurance and magicka, as basic attacks in ESO cannot be used while another attack is occurring. With basic attacks explained, let's move on to understand the activated abilities you and your characters will be using in games, starting with the bars that hold them. Usually, these are called hotbars or ability bars, and you will find some differences between these two games. In World of Warcraft, you can have up to 12 different hotbars to place abilities on, each having 12 slots, meaning you can have literally 144 buttons on your screen at once. Granted, no class in the game has that many abilities, as the slots can also be used for other things such as items, food, drink, potions, mounts, toys, and more. 144 buttons is by no means necessary to play the game. I myself only use about 2 rows, which hold my character's abilities and some of the more common items like my mount and some potions. The thing with WoW is that it's very customizable. in terms of these hotbars. You set up the hotbars how you want to play with them, and you can pick which keybinds you want all of the buttons to use. On the flip side, ESO sports only 2 ability bars with 6 ability slots each, and a small quick slot bar for consumables. You actually only start with 1 ability bar to begin with, while the second is unlocked at level 15, allowing you to access 2 types of weapons in combat and arrange your skills as needed on these 2 bars. While the game boasts a ton of choices in what abilities you can choose from, the limit in the game is that you can only place so many on the bars, with 12 to be exact, and in some setups, even fewer, as you may need the same ability on both bars for it to function, such as some buff abilities. But now that we've talked about where the abilities in the games go, let's talk about the abilities themselves. Outside of the core mechanics of how these 2 games allow you to build your characters, the abilities you get depending on your class in WoW or the particular character setup in ESO are not wildly different unless you want to get into specific mechanics for each WoW class for how they generate resources and then use them. But overall, both ESO and WoW abilities can fall into 8 classifications, while even those can be broken down even further, such as instant damage versus damage over time, but it would take way too long to cover every ability offered in the games. Also, the abilities again are not that different between the 2 games when you actually look at them. I'm going to classify the abilities as melee single target, melee area effect, range single target, range area effect, single target healing, area effect healing, pets, and crowd control. In both ESO and WoW, there are mechanics for attacking a single target in melee range. Some involving instantly applying the damage, others applying it over time. Both games also have area effect damage within melee range, usually in the form of a cleave or in an area around the character. In range combat, there's no difference as well, from single target attacks, which apply damage over time or instantly, and an area effect, there's usually a cone in front of the character or a targeted area. For pets, there is a subtle difference when you're including the hunter class of World of Warcraft, which lets you go out into the world and tame nearly any animal in the game to be your pet and fight with you in combat. Otherwise, the pets within ESO, such as the sorcerer class, are very similar to the warlock and the mage pets in World of Warcraft. Healing mechanics don't change much between World of Warcraft or ESO either, although I believe the variety in heals in ESO is a little lacking, as WoW has a multitude of healing classes that does have a wider variety of healing, but they can almost all be categorized into 2 different sets, that being single target healing, which again could be instant heal or applied over time, or an area effect healing, such as a circle on the ground that heals over time, or can be targeted in an area around a target, or even just the healer themselves. These also apply instantly or over time. Both games also boast crowd control abilities that will root, snare, stun, or cause the target to go uncontrollable until it takes damage. Enemies in both games have a wide variety of abilities, from AE grounded targets to different boss mechanics, too numerous to count, as they are so various. Some have adds during the fight that assist the bosses. Others are triggered through scripts, and some are just single target encounters. The biggest difference in enemy mechanics is that most classes in World of Warcraft, you just simply have to move out of the way of incoming damage. Normally there is a clue when it will occur depending on the enemy encounter, or sometimes it's just a timed event. Certain classes in World of Warcraft do have abilities that allow them to move distances quickly, but there is no built-in dodge button, and these abilities in WoW normally have some sort of cooldown after they're used. In Elder Scrolls Online, you do have a dodge mechanic universal to all characters, as well as an ability to raise your shield or weapon to block, which mitigates incoming damage. Enemies in Elder Scrolls Online normally have a prompt for when they'll do a more powerful move that is intended for you to block or dodge. This is one instance as to why ESO is considered an action MMORPG, where WoW is not, because it's a lot more reactionary and all characters have these abilities to move out of the way of them quickly. To conclude, there's not a clear winner, as these 2 systems have so many similarities. It really comes down to preference on how you'd like to play. I will give a nod to World of Warcraft for its variety in abilities, but then I also have to give a hand to ESO for not limiting one's abilities and letting you choose what you use, even if the selection is more limited. I'm personally stuck in old ways and enjoy tab targeting systems, as I've used them for about 18 years now, since the days of EverQuest. But if you prefer a more reflexive playstyle, ESO's for you.